Would you be willing to bathe less often if it boosted your immunity? Find out the details here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. Go follow me. I am over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, so thank you so much for being here today. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page, so thank you guys for being here, as well as over on the YouTube stream. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you miss a live, you can watch it on replay over here on IGTV. As soon as this is over, we pop it right up onto IGTV, so you'll be able to see that right on my page on Instagram. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Today is Tuesday. So Tuesday is when we air a best of Jimmy Rants. We air the audio of that on my flagship podcast, the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. So LLVLC.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And today's episode is where I broke down a study that was dismissing saturated fat in favor of vegetable oils and how they got it all wrong. Go listen. The husk study, I believe, is what we called it. So that was an episode I did a few weeks back, but we're going to air the audio of that here today on the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. And then finally, pop on over to the official website for this show. It is JimmyRants.com. Once you're there, you can see all the past episodes, quickly approaching 600 episodes. And while you're there, you can actually support my work there as well, either as a monthly Patreon or as a one-time donation through PayPal. All of those links, you guys, JimmyRants.com. Okay, today I have quite the interesting show for you because immune health is all the rage in 2020. When this virus came on the scene and got to America in March, and they started talking about how this is going to compromise your immune system and gets in there. And if you have comorbidities and you have all this and that and you're unhealthy, you're not going to do well. So what did they have us do? They had us wash our hands, just obsessively washing our hands. And for a while there, everybody was buying the bleach wipes and they were wiping down counters and wiping down even like Amazon packages, like making everything ultra clean. And of course, that's based on the germ theory. So the germ theory has been out there for many years, and there is some validity in certain circumstances. In a hospital, when they started instituting hand washing when doing surgeries, then the risk of death for those patients went way down. Duh. We now know that is a huge risk of transmitting disease to a patient if you didn't wash your hands between surgery patients. That wasn't always well known, by the way. And the guy that suggested they wash hands between surgeries actually was ridiculed for that. Oh, what, you don't know what you're talking about. And yet they had all these people dying and all these people getting sick. And then when they instituted it, oh my gosh, all those deaths went way down. So in that setting, it makes sense to obsessively bathe and wash and clean and sterilize. But what about out here in the real world? What about the idea that your skin is actually that first layer of protection when it comes to your immune system? Did you know that? A lot of people, they think their immune system is just on the inside, protecting them from external bacteria and viruses and all kinds of things. But actually, your skin, every part of your skin is that first layer. And so it stands to reason that if your skin is that first layer, you have microbes all over your body. And you do. A lot of people don't realize that. Like right now, if we had some kind of a way to see all the microorganisms all over our body, you would see a ton inside of your mouth. You would see them in your nasal cavity. You would see them on your skin. Like your hands would just be full of them. Like right now, I just wiped a whole bunch of microbes all over my face, which probably already had them on there anyway. These are the things that, because we can't visibly see them, we don't even realize are protecting us. And so, I'm asking the question here today, would you be willing to clean less and bathe less as a natural way to boost your own immune system? It seems kind of crazy, right? Because, we want to be clean. We don't want to have, we don't want to stink. We don't want to have hygiene problems. Aren't we going to get sick if we're too dirty and da-da-da? Well, I've got a story here today, you guys, from this gentleman about this gentleman named James Hamblin. This was on NPR's website. In the era of hygiene, clean author makes the case for showering less. And James Hamblin, I've known of James for many years. Back when I was in the paleo community, I think he actually gave some talks at Paleo FX and some of those conferences out there. And he always made the case for bathing less. And of course, I'm one of those people, you guys, that if I don't get to these armpits every day and the other kind of stinky parts of your body, I do start to smell. So it's like I was very skeptical about this at first. And even to this day, I still have my doubts that this is universal for everyone. But if someone wanted to naturally try to boost their immune system, could bathing less as a means of preserving that microbiome all over your skin, could someone actually boost their microbiome or boost their immunity by keeping that microbiome in place? Let's see, as they interviewed James Hamblin in this article, how that would work. So if you're just joining us, yes, bathe less. Would you do it? Would you purposely not take a shower every day as a means of trying to boost your own immune system naturally through letting those microbes on your skin allowed to persist? Okay, let's take a look at the article. James Hamblin, who is the guy that wrote the book Clean, is tired of being asked if he smells. Hamblin is a physician and a health reporter. He's been fielding the question since 2016, when the article he wrote about his decision to stop showering completely went viral. That's right, for 4 years, he has not taken a shower. The piece outlines compelling reasons why you might want to spend less time sudsing up in the shower. Cosmetic products are expensive, talking about shampoo and conditioner and all the rest, body gel, body wash. Showering uses a lot less water, and the whole process takes up valuable time. Perhaps most importantly, though, bathing disrupts our skin's microbiome. This is the delicate ecosystem of bacteria, fungi, mites, and viruses that live on and in the body's largest organ. You got to remember, we always want to talk about protecting our organ health and making sure, you have a liver detox, having, all these things that we do for our internal organs. When the largest organ in the body is the skin, every part of your body that has skin, that is the largest organ in your entire body. And as such, it's going to have that microbiome all over your skin. And it's protecting you from all kinds of things. Most of these microbes are thought to be benign freeloaders. Talking about all the fungi, bacteria, mites, and viruses. They feast on our sweat and the oils in our skin without really doing anything negative to our health. A small number of them cause harmful effects, ranging in severity from an itch that you just can't scratch enough to get to go away, all the way to life-threatening infections. And some help us out by, for example, preventing more dangerous species from taking up residence. So again, minding your gut health actually helps to boost all of this microbiome. I actually know some companies, and when I used to go to the paleo conferences, they sold these little sprays that you could put on your skin that purposely put microbes on your skin. It was like a probiotic that you sprayed on, and you would rub it all over you. You just got it all on your skin. And the purpose of it was to populate your outer layer of your body with more microorganisms as a way, again, of protecting you against foreign invaders. Researchers are in the early days of developing the full picture of just how substantially this diverse living envelope influences our overall health. And many of their findings suggest that the microbes on our skin are even more important than we ever knew. And this is the thing, it's like, we don't know yet how critical that outer layer is, because, see, here's the thing. As much as we rely on our internal immune system to deal with viruses and bacteria and other things to keep us from becoming sick, if there isn't this outer layer that it has to go through first, you're basically cutting down that first wall of defense that your body has naturally in place. And maybe this is the reason why back in caveman days, when they didn't have soap and shampoo and body wash and all the rest, and unlimited access to water to take as long a shower as they want, maybe they were healthier because they were not as clean. Now again, I'm one of those people. I gotta clean my armpits, I gotta clean the smelly parts of my body, or I start to stink. I do, James. Unfortunately, they ask James Hamblin that all the time. Jimmy Moore, when I forget to put on my underarm deodorant, which I use a more natural one, but I have to wear it, or I actually, within about 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours of showering, if I didn't put on deodorant, I will know, because I can start smelling it. I'm just one of those people that it's just a very distinct odor. Now, sometimes people are like, well, you know, I don't stink. But then everybody around them goes, yeah, dude, yeah, you do. You just don't smell yourself. So there is that problem as well. And then there's people that are like anti-deodorant. And again, you can tell those people too. So you might think you don't smell, but you probably do. Skin has long been considered to be the first line of defense against pathogens, but new studies suggest that the initial protection may come from the microbes that live on its surface. Meanwhile, the healthcare and cosmetic industries are already at work developing these prebiotic treatments, which is what I was just talking about, skincare products that claim to cultivate your skin's population of these beneficial microbes and banish the troublemakers. I think in general, those things are probably a good idea. I would love it if they actually made soap type of products, not just this spray that you put on, like a lotion or whatever, but actual like cleaning products that would repopulate it. So maybe you're getting visible signs of dirt and filth and stink off of your body, but then you're adding back with these products at the same time, you're adding back good healthy microbes. That could be a go-between for people that still want to bathe but want to get the benefits of having that microbiome on their skin. So James Hamblin's book is called Clean, The New Science of Skin, is a documentary survey of the pre-dawn moment in our understanding of the skin's microbiome. Remember, this is just developing. This is new to the scientific world. They're trying to figure out, why is this so important? Hamblin spoke with people from a wide range of specialized perspectives, a collector of historic soap advertisements, the dewy-cheeked mega fans of minimalist cosmetic brands, several CEOs, many scientists, including a disgustologist. What is a disgustologist? Someone who's used to smelling stinky things? That's disgusting. And if you chose to do that, that would make you a disgustologist, I guess. And the founder of a style of addiction recovery treatment centered around therapeutic potential of human touch. So those are the people he interviewed for his book. Hamblin says most of the time when people learn that he has not had a shower in the past 5 years, they just want to know if he stinks. He dutifully explains that he still washes his hands with soap frequently, sometimes gets his hair wet to get rid of bedhead, and rinses off anytime he's visibly dirty. But he finds this question tiresome and also revealing. No, it's not tiresome. Most people are basing that on their own experience. Again, I can tell you, if I don't bathe for 1 day, I already start to smell me. And nobody else wants to be around me if I start to smell. And so I could see why people would have that image. So I don't know why he gets annoyed by that. He does say why he gets annoyed by that. We've gotten a lot better culturally about not judging people about all kinds of things. Oh, you want to bet? Just come on social media. You will be judged up and down for everything and nothing. But when people smell or don't use deodorant, somehow it's okay to say you're gross or stay away from me, and it gets a laugh. I'm trying to push back against the sense of there being some universal standard of normalcy. Well, there is also consideration for your fellow human being. If you never bathe and you never put on deodorant, you're gonna stink. It's like almost impossible. And think about it too, that's bacteria, especially like in your armpits. That's bacteria that is causing that smell, which again, if you get used to it, it's no big deal. I have been to some conferences, some of the paleo conferences, where people, you could tell, either didn't bathe or didn't put on deodorant or both, because you could smell them very heavily. And it's like, I mean, I'm not judging you, but I don't want to be in the same zip code as you. It's a little bit rough. But I guess he's just saying, don't ask him if he stinks. We spoke to Hamblin, who is a staff writer and co-host of the podcast called Social Distance for The Atlantic, about the benefits and social dynamics of showering less and the coming wave of microbially optimized cosmetics. So here is the shortened version of that interview that we'll go over. Your book sets out to challenge some cultural norms about hygiene. What types of cleansing do you think are overdue for re-examination, and which ones are critical? All right, so he says there's a distinction between hygiene and cleansing rituals that's especially important right now. Hygiene is the more scientific or public health term where you're really talking about disease avoidance or disease prevention. Removal of mucus, vomit, blood, feces, any behavior that signals to people I am thoughtful about not transmitting a disease to you. I am a safe person to be around. That would include washing your hands, brushing your teeth, cleaning any open wounds, and even wearing a mask. I don't think any of that stuff is due for a question. But a lot of the other things that we do are class and wealth signifiers. Combing or brushing your hair, whitening your teeth, wearing deodorant. He thinks that is a class and wealth signifier, which have nothing to do with disease avoidance or disease transmission. They're really much more of a personal cultural preference. That's where people are experimenting with doing less. So he thinks you should comb and brush your hair less, not whiten your teeth, and not wear deodorant. Again, can you imagine if everybody employed just those things? Never brushed your hair, never whitened your teeth, and never wore deodorant. Would anybody want to be around anyone else? Obviously, this guy's not looking for a date anytime soon. What girl wants to be around a guy that never brushes his teeth, never whitens his teeth, never combs his hair, and doesn't wear deodorant? All I know is I don't have to brush my hair. My hair's not long enough to worry about. I don't worry about whitening my teeth. I'm not that vain. But deodorant is a non-starter. I will put on deodorant because I value the people around me enough to not let them smell me from the next zip code over. So I will always wear deodorant. Now I use a natural deodorant. It's kind of a baking soda, coconut oil kind of blend type of deodorant. So yeah, I guess to each his own. The next question in the interview, why do you think that some of these cultural practices deserve to be re-examined? Talking about combing your hair, whitening your teeth, wearing deodorant. There are so many reasons. We're spending a lot of money, or at least we were pre-pandemic. I don't really have any data this year on all these products and practices in this enormous industry complex of self-care, skincare, hygiene, and cosmetics, which is barely regulated, which is a huge and important part of people's daily lives. People worry about it too much. People get a lot of joy from, people bond over, people judge, and which causes a lot of environmental impacts in terms of water and plastic. So I think if you're mindful of those things, then you can certainly mitigate some of that if those are the concerns. But completely eliminating the use of things like deodorant altogether for those reasons, like, you could find better ways. There's also emerging science of the skin microbiome. Being clean has historically meant removing these microbes from ourselves, so it's an important moment to try to clarify what exactly we're trying to do when we're doing the hygiene behaviors. I can tell you from personal experience, I get great joy out of smelling good. Like, I know there's people that are just like me, that you get in the shower and you're making sure all the obvious stinky parts of your body are no longer stinky because you care about the people around you and how you smell. And again, if you're trying to maybe attract someone of the opposite sex that you're attracted to, and you know, all the things, then you don't want to smell. It's kind of a turnoff for a lot of people. And is that a cultural thing? Like, obviously back in caveman days, they didn't have ways to obsessively clean themselves, so did they just put up with BO? I think about those guys that go out on that TV show Survivor, and they always talk about, and they're under like heavy soaking sun and they're sweating, and other than getting into the water, there's really no way to adequately bathe. Sometimes they'll give them as a perk of winning one of the competitions, oh, you can bathe. And they'll give them a shower with like their own body wash and shampoo and stuff, and they get the ickiness out of their hair, and they lather out, and they're just having a good old time because, I guess, culturally speaking, we have become accustomed to, and maybe it's our affluence, as James Hamblin is saying, our affluence that makes us want to do that. But it also is this kind of motivation to not want to stink. You know, I think we've become so accustomed to not smelling each other that when someone does stink out there in society, it is judged a little bit. You know, you are kind of going, but are they healthier because they have a stronger microbe on their skin than the people who obsessively clean? He's certainly trying to make that case. Some people are misconstruing the central thesis of your book as shower less like I did, and that's not what I think you're advocating. So is there a thesis statement or a call to action in your mind? I think many people, not everyone, could do less if they wanted to, talking about bathing in general. We are told by marketing and that by some traditions passed down that it's necessary to do more than it actually is. Your health will not suffer. Your body is not so disgusting that you need to upend your microbial ecosystem every day. I would love to see researchers kind of look into this. Now, you have to have participants willing to like not bathe for a period of time, and they could actually test maybe some endothelial cells on skin and just see, all right, is there more population of microbes? I mean, you would think that would be axiomatic, that it would automatically be that, but you don't know. And then by extension of that, how do you know that that's doing something positive for your health? I don't know. But do you agree with Hamblin that you think it's more marketing telling us to bathe more? I mean, there's so many great little products, and I love them all. I'm looking in my shower right in there right now, and I've got a nice body wash that I like to use. I've got this scrub that smells kind of fruity. I love that. I've got a goat's milk soap that I use. Yes, I'm one of those people. I love all the things with kind of body care. And most of all, I love not stinking. So is that marketing? Have they convinced me that I need to do that, or think I need to do that in order to be socially accepted in society? If I skip 2-3 days of that, would anybody notice? I argue they would. I argue that if I didn't bathe for one day, people would notice. Now, maybe there's other people that don't have that problem, but I know personally for me, all the stinky parts of my body would become super stinky, and nobody would want to be around me. If you could get by doing less without suffering social or professional consequences, that's a big one. This guy works for himself as a journalist and as an author. If you had to go to work and your boss smelled you coming in the front door, 500 feet away, yeah, that would not be well, and that would impact you professionally. Socially, if you're going out with friends, you're trying to go on a date, that would probably hinder it. I know I would be turned off if I smelled a girl and it was strong negative smell, odor, BO kind of smell. I couldn't handle that. It's just too much. Plus, I'm very sensitive with my smell, so I smell things probably a little stronger than other people do. And so that would not be good. And your routine isn't bringing you any value or health benefit. That's a space where I say, why not? Why not try it? So he's saying if you don't think it'll impact you socially or don't think it'll impact you professionally, it's not going to harm your health not to bathe. Now, if I knew I was not going to be around anyone for, say, a month or two, I would be willing to not do that. I do know I start to, especially in the armpits, I start to get raw, and I can feel that. And of course, the smell is just overwhelming for me. I don't think I could handle smelling me, much less having other people either smell or not smell me. But it would be interesting. And I wonder too, thinking out loud here, we have not heard any evidence that the homeless are getting succumbed by COVID-19. Have you heard about any homeless getting COVID-19? They're not wearing masks. They're not socially distancing. They're out on the street, ostensibly have not bathed in forever. Is that not bathing actually providing them some protection because their immune system is working on the outside of their body and killing this thing before it even gets close to being on the inside? It's food for thought. That just popped in my head that maybe this is the theory as to why the homeless have not dropped dead in the streets of COVID-19. I haven't heard any reporting on any homeless people getting COVID-19 and even having to go to the hospital and most certainly not dying. It's just not happening. And I wonder if it's this issue we're talking about here today, that their immune system on the outside of their body, because they don't bathe, is actually, ironically, protecting them from this. Something to think about. You wrote that you think we're on the edge of a radical reconception of what it means to be clean. What do you mean by that? That one is harder to answer now because I don't know how the current moment is going to change things. 2020 has changed everything. We have gone to an ultra clean model. Like literally every store you go into, they are wiping down carts, grocery carts. They're wiping down shelves and everything's just ultra clean. Whereas before we would have been picking up some microbes here and there and everywhere, some good, some bad, but we're kind of being denied that. And then if on top of that, you're putting hand sanitizer, you're washing your hands, and you're doing all you can to bleach out, which kills 99.99% of everything. What is that doing about our mentality when it comes to clean? But I believe there's a shift in the near future, similar to what we saw with the gut microbiome. 20 years ago, the idea of drinking kombucha, using probiotics, and trying to have a healthy biome in your gut were a fringe hippie concept. Now we're doing clinical trials of fecal transplants. It's very mainstream to think about your gut microbiome. People are being more conscious about things like antibiotic overuse because they don't want to potentially disrupt the gut microbiome. That has been a really radical shift. I have yet to put any of that, by the way, hand sanitizer on my hands. I don't want to do it. And I don't want to use antibiotics unless it's like medically absolutely necessary, because all these things kill the gut microbiome. And with the hand sanitizer, it kills that skin microbiome. And that's the first line of defense. If something like COVID-19 decides to come to your body, you want that outside part of your body to be that first line of defense that can kick its butt before it gets into your body. And something like that for the skin would be even more radical in terms of the effect on our daily lives and consumer behaviors and spending, because a lot of what has been done traditionally in terms of hygiene is predicated on eradicating microbes. I used to hate it when I went on cruise ships and you would walk into the dining room area, especially on Carnival cruises, and they would say, "Washy, washy." Of course, it was their cutesy way of kind of softening. They want you to put hand sanitizer on your hands. So they kind of forced you to do that. And if you didn't do it, they wouldn't let you in the dining room. So sometimes I would put my hand under there and move it out of the way and then act like I'm rubbing it all over my hands. They never say anything. But I'd make the little automatic thing, dispense it. And then I'd be like, "Okay, I got nothing on my hands. Okay, thank you. Washy, washy." Didn't wash anything. Nope. Nope. Would not do it. After reading your book, I'm bracing myself for an avalanche of new probiotic and prebiotic cleansing products that will hit the store shelves in the near future. What do you think the average consumer should know as they evaluate whether or not a product is likely to be useful? So if you're thinking about getting one of these probiotic or prebiotic cleansing products, here's what James Hamblin has to say. Well, if things like acne, eczema, and psoriasis are the result of an interplay between your immune system and the microbes on your skin, it is indeed scientifically a very promising and cool hypothesis to think that we can shift that microbiome and help people through flares or outbreaks. That science is very sound, but if it's possible that we can use products to make it even better, then it's possible we can make things worse as well. If a product does meaningfully shift your biome, then it has the capacity to create effects that you probably don't want. We're really riding a fine line between drugs and beauty products here, which makes it hard for consumers to know. So that's his concern, is when it's done naturally, it could be a good thing, but if you force the issue, perhaps it has unintended consequences. So I think he's saying to be determined. And maybe just like anything else, there's going to be companies that do it very well. There's going to be companies that don't do it well at all. So you kind of have to let people be the guinea pigs and see which ones work well for people. So then the reporter asked, what is the danger of that fine line? James Hamblin said, most likely these products are not doing anything for you at all. Because there's so little regulatory oversight on this type of product, we don't even know for sure that they contain what they claim to contain. And if they were significantly changing your skin's microbes, I would want to be extremely careful that there was indeed evidence to back it up and make it worth making. I think a lot of people buy products like this thinking, well, it can't hurt, right? And I would suggest keeping in mind that if it can help you, it can very likely hurt you as well. I wonder what the FDA is going to say about all this as well. Hamblin is right. The supplement industry, the cosmetics industry, the skincare in general industry, all of these are highly, highly unregulated. And so if we start having these probiotic cleansing products come out that will put microbes on your skin, we don't know where they get that from. We don't know what the ramifications of that is. We don't know. And I suppose that's where it's incumbent upon researchers and these companies that are going to sell these products, by the way, to get research done so people feel more comfortable. But the default in a lot of consumers' minds is, well, it can't hurt. It can only be good. And Hamblin is saying, wait a minute, if it can help you, it can also hurt you. So just because scientists are learning that the microbiome might be important for our health, the solution to skin problems is not necessarily go to the drugstore and get a probiotic shampoo. Hamblin says, I think that's a great takeaway. And actually, I think we are too culturally inclined to seek out a topical solution most of the time. I certainly have been. The skin is often an external manifestation of our overall health. Very rarely is something limited to just the skin. And he's right. If you want to improve the external microbiome of your skin, you need to be mindful of the internal microbiome of your gut. This is something that I think if we could put more focus on the gut microbiome, stop using hand sanitizers like they're candy, maybe we repopulate the outside skin without having to put anything topical on. He's dead on there. I agree with him. I think there are natural ways. And think about it. If caveman didn't have access to it and yet was healthy, what can we do that the caveman did? Eat like him, generally a lower, obviously no processed foods, eating more real whole foods, healthy fats, healthy animal foods, minimal grains because they didn't exist at that time. Yeah, I mean, they gave us the template as to how to eat. Everyone has experienced that when you're stressed out, not eating well, haven't exercised, not sleeping, you look and quite possibly smell worse than at other times. And our inclination is to go seek a product that will cover up that smell. Sometimes that's the only course of action you can do in that moment. But in an ideal world, we would be able to take that as a sign that something is off and needed our attention in an overall approach to health. We can miss important signals when our immediate inclination is to find a product to cover things up. I have not worn cologne in probably 8 to 10 years. I forget exactly when I quit. I stopped wearing cologne for that reason. It's like, okay, if I need something to use as a cologne, I'll use essential oils. Most of the time now, I don't even put on cologne or any kind of essential oil or anything. I just don't feel the need to do that, because what are we covering up when we have cologne? Now, I know some girls like to get dolled up, and we love it. The guys in your life love it when you put on the sweet smelling stuff. So, I mean, I get it, but are you indirectly covering up something that maybe is trying to tell you that there's something wrong on the inside of your body? It's an interesting kind of theory that he puts out there. How did your identity as a cisgendered white male influence your reporting on this subject? Probably one of the main reasons I've been able to go so long without using any shampoo or deodorant is because of the privilege of my position in American society. To the degree that these standards are culturally determined, I'm coming from the group that has created the norm. That is why I believe I was able to push against them without much discrimination. I mean, people call me gross because I don't bathe, but I didn't suffer professionally to my knowledge, and other people would have. So he acknowledges that, yeah, you stink. You're probably going to get fired from your job. I'm not telling anyone that they should do less, basically. I'm only trying to understand, why do we do things that we do? And then the last question by the reporter, where do you stand on the most controversial question on the internet? Should you wash your legs in the shower? He says, personal preference. From a scientific hygiene perspective, it's an elective practice. It might be something people enjoy doing or feeling better having done. If it brings you value, then it's worth doing. For the record, I don't really wash my legs unless they have active dirt on the outside of them. If I just mowed my grass and I've got grass clippings all over my leg, yes, I will wash my legs then. But otherwise, I primarily focus on the stinky parts of the body, and then obviously the chest and the face and all over. But what do you think about this? Like, would you be willing to bathe less? James Hamblin has not bathed in 5 years. And by bathing less, naturally boosting your own immune system, would you do that? Would that be something that you would be willing to do? This is definitely something I think a guy that's single and has no prospects of a girl in his life would be probably most equipped to do. I don't know many girls that would purposely not bathe, even if there were benefits to immune health. But I'm curious to see what you have to say. Is this something that's intriguing to you? Maybe you shift some of the patterns by which you bathe. Like for me, I wonder, okay, because I know I smell if I don't clean my armpits and other parts of the body that can be stinky, maybe I just clean those parts and leave everything else. It's an intriguing kind of thought process, and maybe this never was on your radar screen before, that you even had a microbiome on your skin. Maybe you didn't even realize that until this Jimmy Rants here today. But definitely want to see what you guys have to say. We're going to come here first to Instagram, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Lavender Love has the first comment. The answer for me is no, but I do have a shower filter that gets rid of a lot of the chemicals in our water. Also buying better quality soap and deodorant that don't have so many yucky chemicals. Yes, so that's exactly what I've done. I use kind of a goat's milk and sometimes other like essential oil type of soaps. I also use natural deodorant. So yeah, I'm right there with you when it comes to getting better products. I don't know if I could go completely without showering. That just sounds, yeah. I'm just, maybe I've become too addicted to showering. I don't know. I think it's a good thing. And again, if you're trying to attract someone as a mate, I think showering is heavily encouraged so you don't stink. Lavender Love said same thing with lotion because our skin is our biggest organ. Exactly. PB says this is also interesting. It is interesting. Like when you stop and think about this, maybe it's something that wasn't even like on your radar before. Martha says we spent a generation hand sanitizing and antibacterializing. Back in the day, we just washed our hands. Yeah, Martha. Which is why when COVID hit and they had a big run on all this hand sanitizer and the bleach wipes and all this stuff, and I'm going, guys, I get it, what you're doing, but you realize you're making yourself more susceptible to COVID-19 by constantly hand sanitizing and bleaching everything. Because you're killing all, not just the bad microbes, but all the good ones too. So that first line of defense, your skin, you just killed it, inadvertently or otherwise. Tiger says, my mother brought us up with sponge bathing in the bathroom sink and an actual bath once a week. I only use my homemade soap or Dr. Bronner's. Nothing wrong with less bathing. When I was a teenager, I spit bath to death to the point that my dad's like, get in the shower. Except he used some choice words with get in the shower. And I used to hate it. And so now I'm just the opposite. Now you can't get me out of the shower. And maybe that's where the conditioning came in. That it was like, well, if you don't shower, you're in trouble. And so maybe subconsciously, culturally, oh, you have to shower, you have to bathe. It is interesting kind of the way we do things. Kelly says, I agree, bathing less is probably healthier, but smelling bad is not okay for me. I do think some people smell more than others. And I agree with you, Kelly. Thank you for your comment. I think there are certain people that don't emanate near a negative smell when they don't bathe for a period of time compared to others. Like I said, I am self-aware enough to know that if I don't wash these armpits every single day and then make sure I get deodorant, a natural deodorant that actually works, if I don't get that on there within a couple of hours of bathing, then I will stink to high heaven. And again, nobody wants to be around me. So I don't want to be around me. In fact, I've gotten to the point where if I forget to put on the deodorant and it goes 6 to 8 hours, sometimes like right now, it's just about noon. And I usually bathe around 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm up at 3:34 usually. And so this has been a good like 7, 8 hours. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I have been on this very show, live on the air, and I'm going, oh man, seriously, Jimmy, you forgot to put on deodorant. And as soon as I'm done with Jimmy Rants, not today, I've got it on, it smells good. But I would be done with Jimmy Rants, and I would literally turn off everything, and I'd hop right into the shower and just start scrubbing. I'm just like, ugh. Frustrating. But that's something I know about myself. So I don't think I could implore what James Hamblin is suggesting here. But it is something definitely worth looking into. Britt says, funny, I wash my hands when I get home from the store to get off the sanitizer the stores put on everything. That's interesting, Britt. Yeah, it's definitely something to do. AK Shaw, I tried to skip every other day bathing. Yes, it's easier in the winter. Yeah, and that's the other thing. During the summer, when it's hot and you're sweating, maybe you got to work outside, maybe obviously bathe on the days you're like profusely sweating, because sweat turns to bacteria, turns to stink. But if it's the dead of winter, maybe you live in a place where it's 0 degrees, maybe you don't have to bathe except every few days in that context. So thank you for that. Seasonally, AK Shaw, I hear what you're saying. Seasonally, sometimes you can get away with it. I still stink though if I don't bathe every day, even in the winter. Joshua says, if I'm not around people, I'm fine not using deodorants. Seems like different foods make me more or less smelly. That's interesting. Like I've eaten all kinds of diets over the years, and I've never noticed that my diet makes one difference or another for me, at least when it comes to how I smell and my BO. So, all right, thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here now to my Facebook page. Thank you for engaging on this topic. What's up, Facebook? See what you have to say about this. I will bathe. I cannot stand smelling, says Tracy. Tracy, you are my sister, because I'm the same way. I'm repulsed by myself when I stink, so I can't imagine how I smell around other people. And I'm not talking about this today, but there are those people who never brush their teeth as well, and they've got horrid breath, stinky breath, halitosis, whatever you want to call it, that goes well beyond having ketosis. It's just gross. And those people, you can sometimes smell them as you're approaching them. You know, their breath is just so strong in a negative way. Candace says, I bathe with water most days and natural soap a couple times a week. I do shampoo my scalp. Then I add a protective barrier of virgin coconut oil on my skin as a deodorant. I promise you I never stink. When I'm stressed, I do have a body odor which acts as a warning signal for me. That's interesting. Then I shower so I'm not smelly. Rinse and repeat. I do not buy any lotions or potions to put on my skin. I have amazing skin. People comment on it all the time. I tell them it's my diet and my way of eating. Candace, that's truly awesome. And good for you. You figured this out for yourself. Christine says, yeah, no, I have to bathe. I use natural soaps, etc., but I'd be one giant pimple if I didn't bathe. My hair also tends to be on the oily side, so I just can't. Yeah, I know people that have oily skin, oily hair. Yeah, they have to bathe, that's for sure. I tend to have onion pits if I go without a shower for too long, and my husband never has any BO at all. And see, that makes you even mad at him, right, Christine? Dang it, why does he get to never bathe and I'm okay? Mark says, bathing less is great. Washcloth, sponge bath, okay. Wash hands and face. I think it's beneficial. Look back at American West homesteading. Eating right means you will stink less. I agree. When I had processed carbohydrates, I'm sure the stink that I smell now was 10 million times worse. I eat ketovore and I have onion pits, says Christine. Yeah, I wish mine smelled like onions. That would make them smell good. Unfortunately, mine do not smell like even onions. Thank you, Facebook. Let's go over here now to my YouTube channel, see what you guys have to say about this stinky subject. Hello, hello. Lana says, all these things make me feel better about myself, so why would I not do it if it makes me feel better? Talking about bathing and all the things in the shower. Maybe it's me, but I don't wear makeup or put a lot on my hair, but I still take care of myself. Good for you. And I don't like to smell, she says. Right there with you. Neither do I. Harpsy says, before farming 12,000 years ago, skulls had good teeth. After farming, more carbs, more plaque, more stinky breath, more decayed teeth. That's true. Weston A. Price found that. Baddock says, I have to shower every day now, just water, no soap. Just stopped using shampoo on the hair and hairy parts don't smell. If I shower every day, I stopped soap for microbiome and shampoo because of chemicals, and I don't use deodorant. It's interesting. Lana says, I heard just plain aloe works for deodorant, but I've not tried it yet. Maybe one day when I know I won't be around anymore. So I have tried every natural deodorant I could find until I found the one I have now. The Tom's was just gross. I mean, I would put it on and I would still sweat and I would still stink. And I'm like, what's the point in using it if I'm going to sweat and stink? And I had to stop using the conventional ones because they had high amounts of aluminum, which got into my body. Remember, your skin is an organ. And so I was soaking in all that aluminum. So you got to kind of trial and error on all this. Craig says, is it worth spending the money on alcohol-free deodorant? The one I was looking at was like $8 a stick. The one I buy is $13 a stick. So when you're looking for good quality, you've got to spend the money, unfortunately, for it. Marianne says, I don't shower every day anymore, but I also am not working out the home. That's a big factor. If you're not around other people and you're okay with smelling yourself, then go for it. But you got to be around other people. It could be problematic. Is it hot and humid where I am? During the summer? Yeah. I'm in South Carolina. It's pretty hot and humid during the summer. Right now, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Lance Table says a lot of women hunters can go 7 to 10 days no bathing because they're in the wilderness. For me personally, I only shower twice a week because my skin is so sensitive to well water. Now that's motivation. Craig says, what do you think about Epsom salt baths? Probably a good idea. I also take cold showers with Wim Hof 1 week. Had me feeling the best ever. That's awesome. Lana says, I use Native now and I love it. Yes, that's the one I use. I use Native. If I skip showering for a few days, I will need deodorant. And it disappeared. Hang on a second. I would need deodorant, then use coconut and bicarbonate. Coconut oil and bicarbonate. Interesting comments, YouTube. Thank you so much. Let's come back over here now. I saw a few come in over here on Instagram. Jax says, I shower twice a week. I almost never shower more than that because I get too dry and itchy. That is a common thing people say as well. And again, if you're not doing anything to make you sweat, you're not getting dirty, it's probably a good idea not to bathe as often. I wonder about those people who work an outside job that are sweating and they do come home and stink. I remember my mom was married to a man, my mom's second husband, my first stepdad, that he worked on a construction site. He would come home from work and the first thing he would do is kick off those shoes. And his feet stunk to high heaven. I'm like, oh, go take a shower, dude. So obviously somebody like him needs to shower every day. But then, yeah, if you're in a desk job or you're not really getting dirty per se, do you need to bathe every day? Probably not. Probably not. Tiger says, same here, dry skin sucks. I wonder, I mean, obviously they have the moisturizers and things like that, and that's yet another part of this equation James Hamblin is talking about, all these little potions and lotions and moisturizers and all kind of things you put on your body. Are they causing harm? I would think they'd have to. How could they not? Which deodorant do you use? I've tried too many of them. Yeah, the Native brand, I bought mine at CVS. And again, it's not cheap. They're $13 a stick. But that stuff works. And I love it. I've tried a few others. And yeah, if it's... Yeah, I mean, I have tried so many, just like you, Joshua, that I got frustrated. I'm like, is there anything that's going to work? So I remember being at a conference a couple of years ago and somebody told me about theirs and I tried theirs and it was good. So, but theirs was like $16 a stick. Okay, I need to find something a little less expensive. And then I found the Native brand and it did the trick. I like sweet smells, by the way, like vanilla. That's kind of my jam. Kelly says, when I'm very strict carnivore, I don't need to do deodorant, but when I add veggies in, I do. Now, that's interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if it's the oxalates maybe in some of the vegetables that's causing that. Like I obviously have a lot of theories as to what I think could be doing that, but anywho, it's good that you know that about yourself. Everybody's asking about the deodorant. Anthony wants to know. It's called Native, Native. I get mine from CVS. And it's natural commercial brand that you can buy that does not have the aluminum. It's all natural products and all that. So, but what do you think about this? Being willing to bathe less as a way to boost your immunity, because your outer skin, your whole body, your outer skin is all filled with microbiome. And so if you wash and wash and wash, Leslie says Target has Native for less. Thank you. I will go look that up. Appreciate that. Would you do that to have all the microbiome on your skin? Bathe less? There's some people that would. I know for me, I have to clean the stinky parts at least. And if I don't, you don't want to be around me. But maybe I start just putting those stinky parts and leaving the rest of my skin alone and seeing if I get any benefit about that. So that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. Go follow me right here. I'm on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So be there, be square. Thank you for being here today, you guys. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook as well as my YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you miss a live, you can watch it on replay, IGTV. Right as soon as this is over, we will put it up there. So if you came in late, make sure you watch the replay on IGTV. It'll be up momentarily when the show is over. We also have the replay up over on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Today is Jimmy Rants on Living La Vida Low Carb show. We have a best of show for you on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at llvlc.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. But today is about a study that I mentioned a couple weeks ago called the Husk Study, looking at saturated fat and replacing it with vegetable oil. And they thought they were going to show something big. They did, but not in the way they thought they were. So go listen to that show today, you guys. Living La Vida Low Carb Show, llvlc.com, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then finally, pop on over to the official website for this here show. It is jimmyrants.com. All the past episodes are there. Most importantly, you can show your support for what I do here. A monthly donation through Patreon or a one-time donation through PayPal, and really any donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. All those links, you guys, jimmyrants.com. So that's it for now. We will be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. So until then, we'll see you then.